Okay, so in this video we're going to go over the idea of an oriented angle. So we want to move beyond measuring just one rotation, right, where it says beyond rotations in terms of degrees. We want to think of, all right, well, what can we define, how do we define something that is greater than 360 degrees? And also oriented, we want to make sure to define what's positive and what's negative, right? What does it mean to have negative angle measure? Okay, so that starts by establishing an initial side, right? So when we talk about angles here, we're going to have, again, start off with the basic. We have a ray, right? And we're going to define the initial side of a ray. All right, and based off that, we're going to define the positive direction to be going counterclockwise. So let's say if we go somewhere here, let's say, let's call it 45 degrees. All right, now notice here that I'm oriented going counterclockwise, so I'll call this this would be a positive 45 degrees. Okay, now that means that going clockwise, we're going to define that as the negative direction. So we have this here. All right, if this is my initial side. All right, and if we go clockwise, let's say 45 degrees, that is oriented in the negative direction. All right, so this is initial side. Here where it ends, appropriately, it's called the terminal side. All right. Okay, so now we've established a sense of direction, right, relative to the initial side, right? If we go counterclockwise, positive, clockwise, negative. All right, so if let's say we had something, what would an angle that is negative 390 degrees look like? All right, so if we have this, let's draw the initial side. All right, the negative says that it goes clockwise. So one full revolution I know is 360. So that means there's 30 more to go. So that'll be somewhere like right there. All right, and then that'll be the terminal side. All right, and that's how we would define something or draw something that is greater than 360. All right. Again, negative, it's oriented. So as long as we know the initial side, we know based off of that what direction that we should draw the angles. All right. Okay, so now how do we know? So now the next thing is, let's kind of draw this idea of this initial side and let's kind of merge it with our coordinate system, right? So when I say the coordinate system, what I'm referring to is our Cartesian coordinates. Right, so when we think of XY plane, all right. So when we refer to angles in standard position, and again throughout our textbook, if it doesn't always say standard position, it's by default, unless they tell you that they're switching the position of it. Right? Standard position always is going to have the positive x is always going to be the initial side. Okay. So the initial side, and that way we go from there. If it's a positive angle, let's say we'll call this 120. So just kind of eyeballing it here. This will be 120 degrees, right? Again, oriented going counterclockwise. If we are trying to refer to a negative angle, let's call it negative 45 degrees. Right, initial side is always the positive x-axis, right? And then that would go in the clockwise direction. Okay, so that would be how we would orient these angles, right? In standard position, right? Standard position always means the initial side is the positive x-axis. All right. So now one last thing here. Now that we have brought in our coordinate system, we're going to introduce this idea of coterminal angles. Coterminal angles. And again, unless stated otherwise, we'll refer to these as standard position, in standard position. So let me draw my coordinate system. All right. So a coterminal angle is an angle that shares a terminal side. Okay, so let's say we wanted to draw, say, 60 degrees, all right, a positive 60 degrees. And let's call that angle theta. Right, and let's say we want to go in the other angle. We'll draw in the negative direction. Since one revolution is 360, this angle would be 300 degrees. And we'll call this beta. Okay, so here we could say that theta and beta are coterminal. All right, they share the same terminal side. And what this is also kind of leading us to is to say that there's more than one way to describe an angle, right? That angle theta is 60 degrees, right? Excuse me, I'm missing our negative sign, negative 300 degrees, right? Very important, right? We're dealing with oriented angles. So it's very important that we define them as positive or negative to tell us how to essentially draw them, how to find them on there. And again, right, what this is leading us to is that angle theta, it's not uniquely described, right? I can describe it several different ways, right? Here we found one, beta negative 360, but what's stopping us from, well, what if I did also clockwise and one here, right? So 360, right, and 60 more, we did at 420. So we'll call that gamma is 420 degrees. All right. And those are also coterminal, right? Theta and gamma. Use something that's more visible here. (20 degrees), theta and gamma and beta. All of these are coterminal. All right, that concludes this video. Thank you.